Me now, Senator Schiff, welcome back to Meet the Press.
Great to be with you.
Great to have you here. Happy New Year. Thank you for being here. Tomorrow, as we just said, does mark the anniversary of the January 6th attacks. And in my interview with President-elect Trump, he said that he does plan to pardon those who attacked the Capitol, potentially even those who pleaded guilty of their crimes. You heard Leader Thune say that's ultimately a decision for the president to make. How do you respond to that?
Well, first of all, that day when we peacefully transfer power, historically peacefully transfer power, is a real solemn occasion, I think, for the whole country. But it has another meaning now that we had this terrible, violent attack 4 years ago. For those of us that were there in the Capitol, it's going to be, I think, quite an emotional experience to be back in that environment on that day. I invited Daniel Hodges, one of the Metropolitan Police officers who was being crushed in that revolving door, to remind people of what that day was really like, given all the revisionist history around it. But if the president goes forward with pardoning vast numbers of people involved in that violence, he will begin his new administration the way he ended his last administration, and that is by celebrating violence against our democracy. I think that would be a terrible start, send a terrible message about our democracy, about lawlessness, about people who attacked police officers. Be exactly the wrong message on and the wrong way to start out an administration.
Let me ask you about something else the president-elect said to me. He said that he believes everyone who was on the committee should go to jail. That includes you. Senator Schiff, are you bracing to be targeted by the president-elect, by his incoming administration?
You know, I don't think any of us really know what he means by any of that, whether he's serious about it, whether it's his kind of Trumpian hyperbole or what it is. All of us on the committee, I think, are very proud of the work that we did. We stand behind it. I'm glad to see President Biden acknowledge the role of our Chairman Benny Thompson and Liz Cheney. Adam Kinzinger, I think, also, as a Republican, showed great courage. And the witnesses that came before the committee were so powerful because they were Republicans, because they put the country first. So who knows what the president means? I guess we'll find out. But we stand behind our work.
There's been a lot of talk about whether President Biden should issue preemptive pardons to those who served on the committee. You've been very public about saying you don't want a preemptive pardon. I wonder, Senator, have you conveyed that directly to the president himself, to his administration?
Not directly to the president, but I have conveyed it to the administration. And the concern that I have, which is what I conveyed, is the precedent that it would set. That you have an outgoing president giving a broad group of pardons to members of his party or others, because I think the precedent could be abused. Now, people have rightly pointed out Donald Trump may abuse that precedent regardless. But the idea that each administration hereafter gives broad pardons to people who worked in the administration or aligned with the administration, I don't think that's a road we want to go down. But the president will do what the president does, and if he goes forward, I'm sure it will be responding to these baseless arguments of Donald Trump and the threats to retaliate against people.
We learned this week that sentencing will be scheduled for President-elect Trump in that hush money case. The judge has said he's not going to seek jail time. That sentencing is going to happen a little bit later on this week. Do you agree with that decision not to seek jail time?
What I've always said about what the judge should do vis-a-vis sentencing, and frankly the whole process of that case, is he should treat Donald Trump as he would any other criminal defendant charged with like offenses. So if the judge concluded that someone else charged with a similar offense of fraudulent business records to conceal a campaign finance violation, then, and that would lead to no jail time, then he should get no jail time. But I particularly concur with his decision to go forward with the sentencing. The federal justice system really let down the country. The Supreme Court certainly did. It didn't timely investigate and prosecute the offenses around January 6th. I think New York has demonstrated, frankly, how the justice system ought to operate. No one should be above the law.
So much of your time in Congress was spent basically conducting oversight over then President Trump for a range of different reasons, the Russia investigation, Ukraine, and then January 6th. Given that the two federal cases, as you just referenced, have been dropped for now. How focused as a senator will you be on overseeing oversight of Donald Trump's actions?
Well, a lot of that will depend on what the president's actions are. Does he take a different approach in the second administration? Or does he once again try to abuse the powers of his office?
Will you continue to focus on his election interference?
Well, my focus is going to be on getting things done for the people of California and the country, and particularly on the economy. I know I'm going to have to face very early on these tax cuts for rich people and for large corporations. What the voters in California elected me to do was to try to bring down the cost of living, the cost of housing, the cost of childcare, not to give tax breaks to very wealthy people or corporations. So my focus is on the economy. To your question earlier about James Carville, I think James Carville was right. I think it is still about the economy. I think we lost the argument on the economy. We need to win that argument. We need to persuade the American people once again that we are focused first and foremost on delivering for them, and that means helping them with their small businesses, helping them pay their rent or their mortgage. That's going to be my first priority. But, if the president is trying to take away the rights and freedoms of the American people or abusing his office, I'm certainly going to stand up and defend our country and our Constitution.
Let's talk quickly about the president-elect's cabinet picks. Kash Patel for FBI director. That comes against the backdrop of this latest terror attack in New Orleans. You, of course, serve on the Judiciary Committee. If Kash Patel is confirmed, will you be able to work with him? You've been quite critical of him.
Well, first of all, Kash Patel should not be confirmed. And I think the terrorist attack in New Orleans and my heart goes out to those who have lost loved ones in that attack, just underscores again the importance of having someone directing the FBI that has experience, that has judgment, that has character, that will prioritize defending the country against the violence we saw in New Orleans or the violence we saw on January 6th. Not someone whose top priority is political vendettas, who believes in deep state conspiracy thinking, not someone who is as unqualified as Kash Patel. So Kash Patel is an easy one. He should not be confirmed. The others, look, Marco Rubio, I think eminently well qualified. Several of the other nominees. Again, we should follow that regular process that the majority leader has laid out. But that one should be an easy one.
All right. Senator Adam Schiff, thank you so much for being here in person. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right. Look forward to hopefully talking to you again soon.